I'm live. Oh, I didn't see the intro. Oh, all right. Well, welcome to your daily hail forecast. I'm meteorologist Joey Cragness. Let's jump into things real quick. Big story for today. Front range hail up to tennis ball size possible along the front range from Denver up to Cheyenne and a little bit farther into northeastern Wyoming. And then we are going to be turning up the heat throughout this week and into the next week. Things look to be warming up, especially for the East Coast, where they could be seeing some record-breaking heat over the next few days. And then we are also winding down storm season, but there are still some big areas that could be seeing some large hail and some stronger storms over the next coming weeks. So looking at today's risk right now, we have this long stretch of storms from the very far northeastern portion of the country, like I said before, all the way out to the Front Range, where our main hail threat is going to be for today. Mainly a wind threat in these areas and down in North Carolina, Virginia, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Then for tomorrow, we see this threat kind of sticking around in the northern plains and then moving out towards the East Coast, where they could see some stronger storms down in the Carolinas and along the Gulf Coast. For Thursday, things slow down a little bit, but there still is that marginal risk for severe weather out along the East Coast and in the Midwest. And then for Friday, looking at mainly just this smaller area along the East Coast for severe weather. And then for Saturday, mainly Nebraska and far northern Kansas under the gun for severe weather for Saturday. And then we'll be looking at how things could be shaping up for the remainder of the weekend and into the beginning of next week, further on into the forecast. For yesterday, though, we'll rewind things a little bit. Look, we had this long stretch of severe weather from Wisconsin, where they got some decently strong winds up there, all the way down into New Mexico, where they saw some hail. So just this very narrow band of storms firing off right along this nearly stationary cold front, bringing some mainly windy conditions. We had a few larger hailstones pop up, but nothing too major for yesterday. The main story for this little stretch of severe weather that we're going to be having is for today. Yesterday was just kind of the precursor to things, priming the environment for things along the Front Range. Right now, like I said before, we have this nearly stationary cold front where those storms are firing off, still going in Iowa and Kansas, all the way down into New Mexico, where monsoon season is starting up for the Four Corners region. And then this is going to be the main boundary that storms are going to be firing off for today along the Front Range. We have that stationary front low pressure system combo out there where things are going to be looking a little bit better for storms later on this afternoon. For right now, though, we just have some moderately strong thunderstorms out in the Midwest, but really nothing else going on. We have some lower cloud cover that's just now starting to clear out along the Front Range. That'll help bring up that surface heating for storms later on this afternoon. Looking at temperatures, there's that heat out in the East Coast. 96 degrees all the way up in Portland, Maine, 97 degrees for New York. And that is just the air temperature. They have very high humidity out there as well, so the heat indices are up into the triple digits out in that area of the country. Cooler right now in Denver, where we're expecting that severe weather later on this afternoon. Looking at our hail model here, so these are all the variables that we use for hail forecasting combined into one colorful plot here. You can see this band of higher values right along the Front Range. Denver up into Cheyenne, near Gillette, Wyoming, kind of near Scottsbluff, Nebraska out there. And then as we go on to later this afternoon, things kind of peak around 3 to 4 p.m. Out in near Cheyenne and Gillette, peaking up into the Black Hills of South Dakota as we go into later this evening and early tomorrow morning For today, though, what we're expecting for our maximum hail size, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some tennis ball size hail, maybe getting up into the baseball area, but I think tennis balls is what we're most likely to see with some of the stronger storms out there. If you can see, if there are any isolated storms that are able to fire up, then we could see up to baseballs, but we're likely to see a more messy storm mode, especially along the Front Range of Colorado. Then I'm expecting tennis balls. So here's what we have for our hail map for today. Rapid City, Scottsbluff, Cheyenne, Fort Collins, Loveland, Denver, all kind of under the gun for today. The highest chance for hail is going to be that Cheyenne to Denver portion of I-25, and then decreasing as you go a little bit further out to the east near Scottsbluff and Rapid City. But I think storms are more likely than not going to fire up right along the I-25 corridor and then move off to the east. Maybe I-25 gets some hail, but I think the bigger hail is going to be just off to the east of I-25 for today as those storms really get going around the Ray, Colorado area. That's probably where we're going to see some of the largest hail, maybe a little bit farther west than that, but right along that I-25 corridor between Cheyenne and Denver are those areas to watch for today. In terms of, there we go, wind, we have this long stretch of our wind threat for today. Highest chances for strong wind gusts, Rapid City to Denver, this blob of storm coverage that we're going to be seeing later on this afternoon. And then we have more isolated, more sporadic wind gusts in the eastern threat, stretching from about North Platte, Nebraska, all the way up into the Portland, Maine area. We could see some more isolated, more sporadic, stronger wind gusts with any stronger storms that are able to get going. So zooming in a little bit more to our coverage areas here, you can see it goes about to the Colorado Springs area, all the way up into about Buffalo, South Dakota, just to the southeast there of Billings into Sheridan, Wyoming. Those could see some strong wind gusts. And then we have our eastern threat where, like I said, there is a lower threat for strong wind gusts because of how isolated the wind gusts are likely to be out there. But there is still that potential for 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts. And I accidentally put in that frame there. But tornado forecast, we could see a few spin ups with some with some more of the isolated storms out along the Front Range. I'm thinking the best chance to see a tornado for today is about the South Dakota-Nebraska border and then just into far northeastern Colorado. So about the Fort Collins area all the way up to the Nebraska-South Dakota border. Probably your highest chance to see a tornado. And those are mainly going, that threat is mainly going to occur with those more isolated storms for today. So here's what we're seeing for the radar. Storms are expected to fire up around that 2 to 3 p.m. time frame right along the Front Range, right along that I-25 corridor. And then as we go into this evening, storms getting a little bit stronger. And here it's showing that they're strengthening right as they move off of the foothills there of the Rockies, just to the east of I-25. But Denver, Fort Collins, Cheyenne could all still see some decently sized hail. I'm just thinking that the largest chance for that large hail is going to be just off to the east of I-25. And then things kind of merge into this line here as they grow upscale off to the east later on this evening, becoming more of a primarily wind threat as they move towards North Platte, Grand Island, Nebraska, and then getting into very late this evening, around midnight, Sheridan, Wyoming, could see some storms. Billings, up there. Could see some storms as well that could produce some hail and damaging wind gusts. But then as we move into early tomorrow morning, that threat moves off more to the east into the about the Lincoln, Nebraska area. Des Moines could see some storms. Davenport, Iowa could see some storms as well. And then getting into the Chicago region for later on this evening as well, they could see a few strong storms out there as well. Not expecting too much of a hail threat with these storms farther off to the east, mainly going to be a wind threat, but we could still see some isolated severe hail with some of these storms. That's just not going to be the primary threat with these storms later on this evening, further off to the east. Checking out our upper air map here, not a lot of upper level support for these storms for today, so it's mainly going to rely on boundaries and how the air interacts with each other at a surface level to really get these storms going. Not too much support to kick storms off from the upper levels. We have a very, very weak trough just off to the west of the Rockies, providing a little bit of upper level support, not a ton, but that is enough to get storms going out in these higher elevations. More arid climate, especially with the terrain helping out. Surface winds blowing up the Rockies, really going to help get these storms going. That trough kind of sticks around as we move into Wednesday and then levels out as we go into this weekend here. Saturday, that severe risk mainly in Nebraska, could see it poke up into South Dakota and dip down into Kansas, kind of depending on where fronts and boundaries line up, but not a ton of upper level support. And this is where we sort of see things slow down for the year for storms. Things kind of level out a bit in the jet stream. That jet stream way farther north, all the way up into almost Canada. For the southern U.S. to see severe storms, we really like to see that jet stream down in the central and southern portions of the country. It's just a little bit too far north to get that upper level support that we need for storms down in this part of the country. And then going into Sunday, Monday, we really start to see that ridging building up into the jet stream, bringing in that heat for 4th of July. So I'm expecting a fairly warm 4th of July break here, but we'll get into that as we get a little bit closer to that, so we can see things develop a little bit more in the models. 24-hour temperature change, you can see what that rain really did to that area in the blue there, dropping those temperatures quite a bit from just 24 hours ago, and then warmer off to the northwest there, slightly warmer off to the southeast. But in terms of what this means relating to the average temperature, there's that heat that I was talking about for the Northeast. Very, very warm relating to the average temperature. They don't really see these temperatures too much, especially not this early on in the summer. This is mainly what we would expect to see for the southern plains, not what we'd expect to see for the northeastern portion of the country. Really only a few spots that are below average in terms of temperature. Four Corners region, the Great Basin out there, and then in the southern Midwest, Nebraska, Iowa, very far southern Minnesota, slightly lower than average. And then we get a front moving through Wednesday, cooling things off for Minnesota and the Dakotas, those cooler temperatures sticking around for New Mexico, portions of Colorado and Wyoming as well. And then as we get into Thursday, cooler temperatures still kind of sticking around for portions of the Midwest and New Mexico, but slightly above average for the rest of the country. And this is what makes this heat so dangerous, is how high this humidity is. It doesn't allow the sweat to evaporate off your skin, so it can lead to heat stroke and heat exhaustion more easily than if it were dry. That's why you see so many people in the desert Southwest saying it's just a dry heat. It's not as bad as it is in the southeastern portion of the country with all of this humidity streaming up from the Gulf of Mexico, really driving up that humidity for really the entire eastern 2/3 of the country. If you're east of the Rockies, it's going to be humid for you for the next several days, especially with that heat making things feel so much worse. For our extended temperature outlook, 6 to 10 day time frame, July 29th or June 29th to July 3rd, most of the country is expected to be above average in terms of temperature, with this little sliver around New Mexico and far western Texas expected to be slightly below average. For temperature or for precip though, we're looking at above average for most of the country, and these are just expected with the more isolated showers that we usually see this time of year. No large scale rain except for the desert Southwest, where it does look like monsoon season is starting to pick up down there just a little bit. And then we could see some rain for the southern half of the country as well. Going to be a little bit more sporadic though. You may see some rain, you may not. It may be dry for you, but fairly wet and flooded for a couple towns over from you. But this is kind of what we're expecting for the next few weeks as we go into the beginning of July. That's all we have for today. If you're interested in learning more about us, go ahead and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. If you're interested in purchasing a plan, go ahead and scan that QR code up above me, or give us a call at 855-334-4245. Email us at info@hailtrace.com, or check out our website at www.hailtrace.com. That's it for now. I'm meteorologist